The 1923 Season 3 trailer wastes no time. It hits us with the kind of intensity that leaves you glued to the screen. From the very first shot, it's clear this isn't just another season about cowboys and the harsh Montana land. This is about blood, legacy, and the future of the Dutton name. The trailer reminds us that the choices made now won't just decide survival in the present, but will shape the family's destiny for generations. And at the center of it all stands Spencer Dutton, a man who has already walked through fire, loss, and exile, now staring at the greatest test of his life, protecting his bloodline. To understand the weight of what we're seeing in this trailer, we need to look back at who Spencer Dutton really is and why his role has become so critical. In the earlier seasons, Spencer was shown as the wild card of the Dutton family. He wasn't tied to the land like Jacob and Kara, nor was he as rooted in Montana's struggle as the rest of his kin. Instead, he was shaped by the violence of war and the loneliness of exile. Far away from his family, he lived a life defined by danger and survival in foreign lands. That distance gave him a perspective that no other Dutton carried, but it also built a wall between him and the ranch that bore his name. Season 2 slowly brought him back into the fold. His return wasn't just about coming home, it was about carrying the scars of everything he had seen and fought through. The trailer for Season 3 shows us how far that journey has taken him. Spencer is no longer the lost son trying to find where he belongs. He is now positioned as the cornerstone of the Dutton future, and that comes through in the glimpses of his bloodline. The trailer deliberately highlights scenes with his sons, setting the stage for a generational shift. We see them not just as children, but as symbols of continuity, the next bearers of the Dutton fight. The bloodline element isn't subtle, it's the trailer's heartbeat. Every shot of Spencer with his sons feels like a reminder that the battles of the past are echoing into the future. When Spencer teaches them, when he shields them, when he stands tall against looming threats, it's not just a man protecting his children, it's the embodiment of a dynasty fighting for survival. The Yellowstone universe has always thrived on the idea that land and family are inseparable. Here, the land isn't just being defended by Spencer, it's being inherited by his sons, who will eventually carry this torch forward into the storyline that connects to Yellowstone itself. What makes this so powerful is the way the trailer frames Spencer's bloodline as a fragile but unbreakable thread. There's a tension in every frame. Will his sons grow strong enough to hold the weight of the ranch, or will they fracture under the same curses that haunted generations before them? The beauty of the Yellowstone universe is that it never guarantees survival, it only guarantees struggle. That means Spencer's children aren't safe simply because of their name. The trailer teases danger, hints at betrayal, and shows that even within the family, cracks can form. And yet, there's also hope. Spencer himself is proof of resilience, and by bringing his sons closer into the story, Season 3 suggests that the bloodline will not only survive, but evolve. It's more than just survival now, it's about preparing for the future. The trailer gives us flashes of family moments, a quiet meal, a father's advice, and the weight of responsibility passing from one generation to the next. These glimpses remind us that the heart of the Yellowstone story has never been about cattle or land alone, it's been about the people who carry the name and the sacrifices they make to keep that name alive. Spencer's journey from a man haunted by war to a father defending his bloodline creates one of the most compelling arcs in the entire Dutton saga. And now, in Season 3, that arc collides with the harsh reality of the family's enemies, both old and new. The trailer leaves us asking the question, will Spencer's bloodline be strong enough to secure the Dutton future, or will it become the next tragic chapter in this cursed family's history? The trailer makes one thing very clear. Spencer and his sons are not returning to a peaceful ranch. They are stepping into a battlefield that stretches far beyond the fences of Yellowstone. In fact, Season 3 seems determined to remind us that every generation of Duttons must face its own set of enemies, and the new faces we glimpse in the trailer are no exception. What's fascinating here is how the conflict no longer feels limited to simple disputes over cattle or boundary lines. The threats now carry a larger, almost national weight, as if the Dutton family is standing against forces that want not only their land, but their very way of life erased. The camera lingers on images of unfamiliar men dressed in tailored suits, their expressions sharp and calculating. These aren't the kind of enemies who ride into town on horseback with guns blazing. They represent wealth, politics, and influence, the kind of power that doesn't just fight with bullets, but with laws, contracts, and public opinion. For Spencer, this is new ground. He knows how to fight with his hands, he knows how to survive. On instinct, but facing men who can destroy you with a signature on a piece of paper adds a layer of danger the family hasn't fully confronted before. This is where Season 3 begins to expand the story, showing us that the war for Yellowstone is as much about power in the courtroom and the statehouse as it is about blood spilled on the ranch. Yet the trailer doesn't stop there. Alongside these polished enemies, we also see hints of more direct, violent opposition. Rival ranchers, driven by greed and resentment, appear in fleeting shots, faces twisted with bitterness, guns at the ready to challenge the Dutton claim in the old-fashioned way. It feels like the Duttons are being hit from all sides, forced to fight both the old wars and the new ones at the same time. This duality, brutal violence versus political maneuvering, creates a dangerous storm, one that Spencer must guide his family through if they are to survive. What stands out is how the trailer frames the Duttons not as untouchable heroes, but as vulnerable targets. There are moments where Spencer's sons appear caught in the crossfire, their safety no longer guaranteed. This is a deliberate choice, reminding us that legacy is fragile. The enemies the Duttons face aren't just threatening the land, they're threatening the bloodline itself. And if you take away the bloodline, you take away the ranch's future. Another chilling detail is the sense of betrayal hinted at in certain shots. Could it be that some of the Duttons' enemies are closer than they realize? A lingering shot of a handshake in shadow suggests alliances being formed in secret, possibly even with those who once stood as friends. If true, Season 3 might explore one of the harshest realities of power. Sometimes the greatest threats don't come from strangers, but from those within your own circle. The struggle shown in this trailer doesn't just feel like another chapter of hardship, it feels like escalation. Every generation of Duttons has had to fight, but this one seems to be standing on a cliff's edge. If they falter now, the entire dynasty could collapse. For Spencer, this means the stakes are higher than ever before. He's not just fighting for survival in the moment. He's fighting to ensure his children even have a future to inherit. That makes every choice heavier, every battle more dangerous, and every loss more devastating. The brilliance of the trailer is how it captures this sense of inevitability. You can feel it in the pacing, in the way the scenes cut from violent clashes to silent stares across negotiating tables. The Duttons are not safe, not this time. Every enemy they face is smarter, richer, or more ruthless than before, and Spencer is the only shield standing in the way. The question that lingers as the trailer fades is chilling. How long can even Spencer hold back the tide when the world itself seems to be closing in? One of the most striking elements of the Season 3 trailer is how much attention it gives to the next generation of Duttons, specifically Spencer's sons. For years, the story of Yellowstone has been about the men and women willing to fight, bleed, and sacrifice for the land. But now, for the first time, the torch is beginning to visibly pass from one generation to another. The trailer doesn't just show Spencer as a father, it shows him as a teacher, a protector, and sometimes even a warning of what can happen if the family loses its way. These quiet but powerful moments set up one of the biggest themes of the season, the battle between loyalty and individuality within the Dutton bloodline. In one sequence, we see Spencer speaking to one of his sons under the vast Montana sky. His words aren't revealed, but the expression on his face tells us enough. It's not just advice, it's a burden. The burden of the Dutton name, the weight of defending Yellowstone, and the responsibility of continuing a fight that started long before they were born. His sons don't respond in unison, though. The trailer cleverly contrasts their reactions. One looks determined, nodding with understanding, while the other seems restless, almost questioning whether this is the life he wants. That single moment hints at the possibility of division, setting up a conflict that could rip the family apart from the inside. Generational conflict has always been at the heart of the Yellowstone universe. In 1883, we saw how dreams of freedom clashed with the brutal reality of survival. In 1923, Jacob and Kara fought to protect the land for a future they might not even live to see. And in Yellowstone, John Dutton's children constantly struggled between duty to the ranch and the desire for independence. Season 3 of 1923 looks ready to continue that tradition by asking the question, will Spencer's sons embrace the family legacy? Or will they reject it, even if it means tearing at the very foundation of their bloodline? The trailer fuels this tension with symbolic imagery. We see Spencer's sons working the land, riding horses, and learning the skills every Dutton needs to survive. But these images are intercut with flashes of them standing alone, looking uncertain, as if the life they are inheriting may not be the one they want. It's a brilliant storytelling device, suggesting that the ranch is both a source of strength and a prison. The land gives them purpose, but it also traps them in a cycle of endless battles that no generation has ever truly escaped. Family conflict doesn't always come from rebellion, though sometimes it comes from love twisted into fear. The trailer gives us a glimpse of what appears to be a heated argument between Spencer and one of his sons. Though no dialogue is revealed, the intensity on their faces says everything. This isn't just a father scolding a child, it's a man desperately trying to stop history from repeating itself. Spencer knows better than anyone that once you step away from the ranch, once you lose sight of the family's purpose, you risk losing everything. His fear isn't just for the ranch, it's for the survival of his bloodline itself. What makes this generational storyline so powerful is how it mirrors real life. Every parent wants their children to carry on their values, but every child wants to carve their own path. The Duttons, however, don't have the luxury of choice in the same way. For them, land isn't just property, it's identity, it's power, it's survival. That makes their conflict more than just a family disagreement. It's a question of whether the Dutton name will endure or fracture under the pressure of change. There are also hints that the outside threats pressing down on the ranch might widen this divide. Enemies could exploit cracks within the family, turning son against father or brother against brother. Imagine the devastation if the biggest danger to the ranch isn't from an enemy on the outside, but from doubt festering within. That's the kind of emotional storytelling the Yellowstone universe thrives on, making us realize that sometimes the hardest battles are fought across the dinner table, not the battlefield. By focusing so heavily on Spencer's sons, the Season 3 trailer makes it clear this isn't just Spencer's fight anymore. This is about who will rise to carry the Dutton legacy forward and who may choose to walk away, leaving behind a family name that has survived blood, war, and betrayal. And if one of them does turn their back on it, the consequences won't just be personal, they could reshape the entire future of Yellowstone. If the trailer for 1923 Season 3 proves anything, it's that this series isn't just a side story in the Yellowstone franchise, it's a cornerstone. Every shot, every line of tension, feels like it's pushing us closer to a much bigger destiny, one that ties Spencer's bloodline directly to the Yellowstone saga we know today. The Duttons have always stood for the idea that the ranch is eternal, but Season 3 raises a haunting question. Can even the strongest family survive when enemies, history, and destiny all close in at once? The future of the Yellowstone universe is written in bloodlines, and the trailer makes that crystal clear. Spencer's sons aren't just characters, they're the bridge between past and future. Watching them take their first steps into the violent world their family has endured makes us realize that every generation of Duttons carries scars. Season 3 seems determined to show how those scars shape the choices that will ripple all the way to John Dutton 3 and beyond. In this way, the show isn't just expanding the past, it's planting seeds for stories that connect to the present day, Yellowstone Ranch, and maybe even future spin-offs. One of the most fascinating parts of the trailer is the way it laces small Easter eggs for longtime fans. A brief glimpse of a weathered map on a table could symbolize future land disputes we'll eventually see in Yellowstone. A subtle mention of keeping the land for the grandchildren feels like a nod toward the battles John Dutton fights decades later. And then there's the unspoken weight of legacy. When Spencer's sons ride across the Montana fields, the camera frames them in a way that feels prophetic, like these boys aren't just living their own story, but carrying the burden of every Dutton yet to come. The Yellowstone universe has always thrived on tragedy, and this trailer doesn't shy away from it. There's a strong sense that not everyone we see will make it to the end of Season 3. That uncertainty is what makes the Dutton stories so powerful. No matter how strong they are, the family is never safe from fate. And when the trailer hints at betrayals, losses, and sacrifices, it becomes clear that this season may set the stage for one of the most heartbreaking chapters yet. But as dark as it looks, there's also a strange beauty in it. Each trial, each loss, forges the family into what they need to become to survive the decades ahead. What's equally exciting is how 1923 seems to be shaping the larger franchise, with 1883 laying the foundation and 1923 exploring the fight for survival in the early 20th century. Season 3 feels like a bridge leading directly toward the Yellowstone we know in the modern day. It connects dots we've only guessed at before: how the family grew, fractured, and rebuilt itself over generations. The franchise isn't just telling separate stories anymore. It's building a complete tapestry of the Dutton legacy. And with rumors of more spin-offs and continuations, Season 3 might be the key that unlocks what comes next. The trailer leaves us with a final impression that lingers. The Duttons are not eternal, but the fight for Yellowstone always will be. Each generation faces its own version of the same war against enemies. Against the world, and sometimes against themselves. Spencer's bloodline may be the focus now, but the message is clear: the story doesn't end here. Every decision they make in Season 3 will echo into the Yellowstone we know, shaping the characters, the land, and the very heart of the saga. As the music swells in the final moments of the trailer, we see Spencer standing alone, looking out across the land. Behind him are his sons, and beyond them the shadow of everything still to come. That image isn't just a scene, it's a promise. A promise that the Dutton name, no matter how bloodied or broken, will continue to define Yellowstone's future. And for fans, that means Season 3 isn't just another chapter. It's the turning point that decides whether the family survives or finally falls to the weight of its own legacy.